On paper, some of it makes sense. To some, it didn't. And good for you if you're listening and you constantly question Booth's plan and you never liked it. You can have a victory lap. I think I try to stay more positive just because, like, I tweet and we're on the show. I try not to just
He
bash
doesn't
the
want people in
team.
his replies. Okay.
And I try to just like really gather enough evidence before like condemning something. And it's like, okay, we got Saric. He could be a backup big. He could spell Jokic and AG. Maybe the Booth boys do take a leap. I actually excited about CB being a starter, and it did work out. Though I think definitively losing KCP was also a bad move despite that. And I don't think that can be questioned now. Because these players are young, and even Mike is almost guilty of this, where I think sometimes the messaging from the coaching staff, it's like they hear it, but because they're just like so young, they don't necessarily know how to execute it at certain points. Let's say the coaching staff's like, hey, we got to be aggressive and close out. But it's like Jokic is intentionally not guarding Marvin Bagley because he's like, oh, I'm going to let him shoot. But then Christians closes out from Jordan Poole, a pass away, and closes out on Marvin Bagley, and then, goes right to Poole and they hit a three. And it's just like, I get that, like, in his mind, he's like, I got to put in the effort and I got to go and I got to contest the shot.
Yeah, it's the instincts are not there.
Yeah. And it's same with Mike in some degrees where it's like he's pretty experienced, but even him, it's like, I got to rotate hard on the low man, weak side rotation. That's our scheme. But he's like out of control when he's doing it, or he's slow, or he's fouling, or he's just not there. And I see the same things with the young players too, where they're trying to force stuff, but it's not like a smart decision. And it's just like, that just takes time.
They're young players, and Mike, who should be better than he is. Like, that is like an on him thing. Like, he should be better than he is, and he has been in the past, but he's just been really, really bad this season.
On defense, yeah.
On that end.
If we do make a trade, and let's say we trade, I don't really consider Zeke a part of Project Dynasty, but like,
get him out of here.
If we had to include like Julian, or we had to include whatever, or we trade Mike, I think definitively I'd have to declare Project Dynasty dead, because I think that's a pretty severe pivot from what the plan was.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to think that it is, because you messed up with the Tyson and Pickett contract, and I just don't think Julian and Peyton are going to be enough to contribute for titles, and something's going to have to change, and we're going to have to change strategies with the roster.
Most young players, like lottery pick or not, like outside of like the top 5, they're not good immediately when they come into the NBA. They take years for seasoning. And the players that we have that aren't, like Peyton obviously came in pretty young. Julian, not as young, but he, especially defensively, like clearly just needs more time in the NBA to, even be viable on that end. And it was an issue in the draft scouting for Julian, and it stood out a lot more this year than it did even last year in his limited minutes. And, part of the reason for that is we lost KCP and we lost Justin Holiday, who could sort of, not that Justin Holiday's like some amazing defender or whatever, but it was less time spent on the ball, for example. Like, that was our big thing this summer, was like, well, Julian's off-ball defense is like, there's some stuff that you could look at positively there, but there's not a ton of reps on ball that we've seen. We're switching a whole lot more this season. Julian is getting hunted relentlessly on all these teams. And so we're seeing that. We're just seeing that a lot more. It's like, hey, he's just not there. He's not where he needs to be yet. And we're switching more because we don't have anybody who can stay attached around a screen. But it is nice to see the offense come along at least. But that in combination with MPJ's playing like the worst defense that I've seen him play.
Yeah.
And so I think that a lot of these issues are being magnified because of the way that this roster is constructed. But yes, when you have these young players, like, they just need time.